And joining me live now is Sky News aviation expert Byron Bailey. Byron, you have flown the route from Sapporo to Tokyo. So can you tell us, from the pictures that you've seen, was there any visibility issues? Richard Quest was saying that it was night time, and investigators will be trying to work out why an A350 was on the runway at the same time as a Dash 8. Can you shed some light here for us?
Yeah, I saw the video. It appears that the Dash 8, which actually is a similar type that Qantas Link uses, was lined up on the runway while another aircraft was coming into land. Well, that shouldn't happen. So either a pilot misunderstood his instructions and lined up instead of holding short. But that is hard to do because there's a red stop bar that prevents pilots from entering the runway until the air traffic controller removes the red lights. So whether it's pilot error or air traffic control error, it's all going to come out in the wash. But it's very tragic. It appears the A350 landed on top of the Dash 8, killed 5 of the crew members, and the captain apparently survived but injured. And, of course, it would have punctured underneath the A350 where all the fuel tanks are. And, of course, that's why you got the massive fire. I mean, a terrible tragedy, but I'm glad all the passengers and crew got off the A350. I've been into Haneda. It's an intensely busy airport, just like Heathrow and Los Angeles. Yeah, I had a private corporate jet carrying the Emperor's son's daughter up there a few months ago. So a pretty impressive airport all around, and the air traffic control was terrific. But it's a big error by somebody, and the investigation will reveal all. Yeah.
And seeing the pictures of the plane just exploding into fire so rapidly as well, from a pilot seeing that, are you surprised at how quickly the entire fuselage caught alight? And seeing that, are you also surprised that almost 400 people managed to get off with only 17 injuries?
Well, actually getting to the first part of it, I'm not surprised, because if that landed on top of the Dash 8, they probably punctured the fuel tanks under the wings, and jet aircraft like A350s are probably landing with several tons of fuel on board. That would have erupted immediately and sliding along the runway with the gear probably wiped off. With the collision, sparks everywhere. Yeah, the crew did magnificently, and that's the good thing about the Japanese. They're calm, they're professional, no one panicked, and the crew, the 12 cabin crew, were absolutely magnificent. So yeah, it was a job well done by Japan Airlines.
And you said before that the Haneda Airport is an intensely busy airport. Is there anything else at the airport that would be difficult for the pilots to navigate or may cause a particular situation like this? What have you got for us there?
There's a picture of Haneda Airport. It's very complex,
wow.
A big airport. The air traffic controllers under extreme stress with the workload. Yeah, I found it very difficult actually with following the lights and all the instructions, which sometimes the English of the controllers wasn't quite so good, but there really is an excellent airport, and this has to be an error made either by the Dash pilot or the air traffic controller, because the person in the crew in the A350, when you're coming in, it's slightly smaller than the 777, but similar. When you're coming in using instrument approaching, watching all the beautiful stuff going on the instruments with the computers controlling everything, you tend not to look too much outside, because the computer's going to line the aircraft up for you. So, yeah, it's a tragedy, but $300 million new airplane, that's another thing too.
Yeah, and just finally, Byron, in terms of historical aircraft accidents, in your experience, how does this rate in terms of, how bad an airline crash can be?
Well, because only 5 people were killed, that's the important thing. You can always build new aeroplanes, but you don't want people to die. But I remember, I'm an ex-fighter pilot. I can remember actually incidents like this occurring where people were lined up on the runway and another aircraft landed on top of them and killed, rode off both aeroplanes. This is Mirage, and killed the pilot lined up and waiting. That's why these days you never have one lined up with another coming on approach, because the approach aircraft crosses the threshold of about 50 feet. And if another aircraft is just lined up, it actually sort of passes over the top of them. Probably the gear and the fuselage would crunch onto the other aircraft. So, yeah, very, very sad, but I'm just glad the crew performed magnificently and got everyone out.
Captain Byron Bailey, really appreciate your experience and insights on First Edition this morning. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Cheers.